Hello to all you Star Wars fans, and welcome back to the Padawan Podcast, Apocalypse Movies, all Star Wars podcast, where we break down everything from the galaxy far, far away, including film, TV, books, comics, and much, much more. Today we are talking a little bit of everything in the world of Star Wars. First of all, my name is Jake Berlin, a.k.a. Qui-Gon Jake, and I am joined today by Brian Avalosino, and I think we officially have a name for you this time around.
Do we? I think I'm
just
still
kind of
undecided.
switching back and forth.
I'm still undecided.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, so as I mentioned, we're kind of touching on a little bit of everything in the world of Star Wars. We're going to try and change things up on Padawan here, and we're going to start doing these ranking videos of different things going on in Star Wars, whether it's characters, certain scenes, maybe relationships, whatever it may be. Today and two following videos afterwards, we're going to be talking about every lightsaber battle to be shown on screen. That is both in film and TV. So that includes the saga films, that includes the Clone Wars and Rebels. We have a lot to talk about. There's 28 total lightsaber fights. That includes lightsaber against lightsaber, not just when one shows up, but it's a lightsaber against lightsaber, two people battling it out. So what we did was we ranked them 1 through 28. We're going to be taking 3 separate videos and breaking them down. So this video will be chronicling 21 to 28, the last 9 of our ranking. The next video will be the next 9, and then the final video will be the top 10 lightsaber battles, which we believe are in the world of Star Wars. So let's get right to it. We got a lot to talk about. I'll go and start this one off, and at number 28 for me, may come to a shock to some, may not to a lot of others. It may surprise Brian here, I'm not 100% sure, but I have Mace Windu and the Jedi vs. Palpatine from Episode 3 as the last lightsaber fight. As the last lightsaber fight in all of Star Wars.
Okay.
Hey, it shows Sidious fighting a lightsaber on screen. I get it, it's Mace Windu. But it felt very, very choreographed. It felt very unrealistic because of the way that the fellow Jedi kind of dies so quickly, and they just, one of them is Kit Fisto, and he's supposed to be one of the greatest Jedi Masters ever, and he goes down in a heartbeat, and there's things about it that don't get me very excited to watch it. It's not something I remember when watching Episode 3. Obviously, at the end of it, we see the turn of Anakin going to be Darth Vader, and Windu, quote, dies. But also part of that scene is like, why did Windu take so long to take down Palpatine or to even kill him? Like, he could have done it multiple times before. Just kind of, it felt like it was just super choreographed and was taking too long. And it's a cool scene. There are cool moments like the whole lightning thing with Palpatine and sending Windu off and whatnot, but the way that the fellow Jedi died was so weak in comparison to many other, Star Wars lightsaber fights. So
okay, fair enough. I felt like this was a pretty obvious one for most people, which I'm sure you can figure out which one I'm going with. But obviously, I'm going with Obi-Wan versus Maul in Rebels. The one swipe, that's it. Nothing to it.
Yeah, realistically, people don't even consider it a lightsaber fight, but it ended quickly. I think it's the disappointment, the sheer disappointment of that scene.
100%.
That
there was nothing there.
Yeah, no, hey,
it's the bottom on my list because I almost don't even count that.
Oh, hey, I hear you.
So, that would be my my last one. I feel like I don't really need to explain much more than that.
All right, fair enough. All right, so number 27 for me, this is probably going to piss Brian off a lot, but I have Obi-Wan versus General Grievous from Episode 3.
Actually, it does not.
All right, cool. This, there's some cool stuff in there. There is, General Grievous, he's got 4 lightsabers. He's going up against Obi-Wan, who never seems to be outnumbered when it comes to number of lightsabers in his single one. Like, he's just so good. His whole, like, come and get me type of thing, and his type of attitude, bulldog attitude or whatever. But, it was just, I didn't like Grievous's dialogue. I thought it was just kind of too cheesy. I thought they could have used him in a lot better of ways, because we see in outside of the film stuff, he's actually a really cool character, and they use him really well, and it would have been really cool to see that on screen. And then it just ended up as this like big kind of car chase type thing, and we didn't really get to see a full lightsaber fight between them, which is kind of why it ends up at the end of the bottom of my list.
Okay, fair enough. My 27, sticking with Rebels, I have Sabine versus Garr Saxon.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Anything really, honestly, involving the black lightsaber didn't.
Really? Because there's one in particular that. Oh, okay. I'm interested now.
I have to look a little bit. Actually, yeah. I think I know which one you are going to. I'm sorry. I just didn't. I don't know. I don't know if it was Garr Saxon that kind of killed it for me. But it just wasn't interesting to me. I think also I was getting pretty bored with the Mandalore stuff. I didn't find, I mean, this isn't lightsaber talk, but I didn't find that part of Rebels that exciting.
Yeah.
It bored me. So I think by the time I got to that, I was just like done with the whole Mandalorian
totally understand
type stuff.
Totally understand. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of weight to it.
No, there really wasn't.
And it kind of just like happened very quickly.
Yeah.
And they pulled the whole Mandalore jetpack stuff and shooting guns and whatnot, and I totally understand. All right, so number 26 for me, one that's already been mentioned. We have Obi-Wan versus Maul from Rebels. As I mentioned, this is all based on sheer disappointment because that scene was teased at the end of at the end of each trailer for Rebels that season.
That basically was
it was showing them facing off against each other, and so yeah, it was just disappointing. But the reason it's not last for me is because it also held an extreme amount of importance because of their conversation about Luke.
Fair enough.
And Maul kind of talking like they had. No matter what happens between Maul and Obi-Wan and what they've gone through, they have a ton of respect for each other.
Of course.
And that's what makes it seem like a little bit better than others for me. But again, it is incredibly disappointing because we didn't get to see that final duel between them. It was more of just a, hey, I'm much better than you, bye-bye.
Yeah, agreed. My 26, this is kind of, I think will surprise you. I actually also have Obi-Wan versus Grievous that low.
Really? Mm-hmm. Hey, I know Grievous is one of your favorites.
I love me Grievous, but dude had 4 lightsabers and went down to like 2 in a matter of seconds. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Obi-Wan's a savage. He is badass, but we get this menacing looking dude, never seen before. He has 4 freaking
He's a robot.
4 lightsabers. He's got that robotic voice. I was stoked when I saw him, and it did not deliver whatsoever. They barely even used the lightsabers throughout that whole entire fight. I rewatched the whole entire scene. Half of it's them running after each other, and then there's a little bit
it's like a car chase.
Yeah, when he disarms him in the first, with the first 2, and then shoots him in the heart. 5 seconds.
I mean, it's kind of cool, like going off topic, but a robot with a heart? Well, that's pretty interesting stuff right there.
Human-robot hybrid, if you will.
That's pretty and he's got like these whole eye things going on, too.
He's an awesome character. Did not do it justice, not surprisingly, because it's part of the prequels.
Yeah.
But, there's that.
The better of the prequels.
Yeah.
All right, so number 25 for... No, 25?
25.
25 for me. I got Sabine versus Garr Saxon.
Okay.
Yeah, this... I was okay with the Mandalore stuff because we haven't seen Mandalore in anything.
True.
As far as the new canon goes. We've seen it in the extended universe and Legends or whatever, but it has not been touched on whatsoever in new canon.
Outside of Rebels.
Well, it wasn't really touched on there.
A little bit.
I think that they're going to be using it in the future, possibly.
I think so, too.
Because Mandalore is incredibly rich as far as stories and, their legacy and mythology and everything going on there. It can span through a small animated series for a few seasons like Rebels did. But yeah, as far as this fight goes, it would have been really cool if it was done a little bit differently because there was such an emotional tie for it. Like it had such importance, but it just didn't it, like I said earlier, didn't hold as much weight as it probably should have, as probably another black saber versus Mandalore stuff that happened at a certain point in new canon. So yeah.
My next one I'm curious to see if this actually surprises you or not. My 25 is Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku.
Interesting.
I actually thought when I first got this list that was going to be high up, and I rewatched it, and it was so boring.
Yeah.
I was like...
Well, it feels extremely choreographed dancing.
Yes. And they move like ballet dancers. Yeah. Which I get it. Count Dooku kind of has a flair for the dramatic. His lightsaber has that tilt. He holds it kind of down. He holds it above his head. But again, you see it in episode 2. You see it in episode 3. Obi-Wan gets flung to the side, and then it's really Anakin versus Dooku, and then first time his hand gets chopped off, and then it's a whole different lightsaber fight.
No, I hear you.
Second time, Obi-Wan gets thrown to the side, Anakin cuts his head off. Or hands and head. It was meh. It was just meh to me, and it was short.
It was short because it was leading to the Yoda Dooku stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why.
So that was number 25 on my list.
Funny thing, my number 24 is Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku.
Oh, I'm actually surprised.
Yeah, it's down there, and I'll echo everything you said. It is a very somewhat boring fight, and Obi-Wan, the whole tossing to the side thing does get old because of the Obi-Wan we knew from the original trilogy and what we see of him in the Clone Wars and everything going on. He's not that type of character, and he again 2 times in a row just kind of got beat off to the side, and so and I know that they're trying to push Anakin because he's supposedly the greatest Jedi ever, and it's basically his story, but it just it should have been done in a much different way. I know they were trying to focus on Anakin getting his arm chopped off, and Obi-Wan, feeling the guilt of not training him well, and then leading to Yoda fighting Dooku and whatnot. But it was a very boring fight, and how badass would it have been if it was just as good as the Yoda Dooku stuff?
Yeah,
like back to back, like that would have in a one of the arguably the worst Star Wars movie to be made in Attack of the Clones. Like just to see those 2 fights near the end would have made a lot of ground for that movie.
Yep, fair enough. All right, my number 24. You ready for your first pissed off?
God.
I have Maul vs. Pre Vizsla.
Whoa! Are you serious?
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
My whole problem with this one was I just could not put my mind around Pre Vizsla being able to be trained enough to duel Darth Maul.
Fair enough.
Because to me, Darth Maul is one of the best lightsaber users that we've ever seen. His if you think about it, that double-sided lightsaber is hard as hell to control. And, I just couldn't really grasp my mind around the fact that this guy could stand up to Darth Maul. Granted, Darth Maul did not use the double-sided lightsaber in this fight particularly. I don't know. I think it just kind of bugged me because, like I said, Darth Maul to me is one of the best lightsaber people, and Pre Vizsla is just this dude that has a sword now, and he's able to go. It was a pretty long fight too.
Mm-hmm.
Go for that long against Darth Maul. I don't know. That was, and like I said before, the whole black lightsaber thing. I liked the black lightsaber itself. I did not like the story that came with it, and I think that kind of.
I will argue that it's a much different Maul from what we know.
True. Fair enough.
He may not be as connected to the Force as he once was.
True.
Just saying.
I don't know. I don't know. The fact that the guy was able to go toe-to-toe with him that long kind of irked me a little bit, to say the least.
I hear you.
Yeah. First shocker of the
Very, very much so. All right, my next one, I got what, number 23?
Mm-hmm.
I have Ahsoka versus Barry Sophie.
Okay.
One of the later lightsaber battles in the Clone Wars series, you see Ahsoka, who is facing off against one of her best friends, but in the fight, she actually doesn't know that it's her. It's later revealed that that's who it is. She's actually acting as Ventress, as kind of a blackmail type thing in the show. Sorry if I spoiled that for you, but it's been out for a while.
Yeah.
One of the biggest gripe I have with this fight scene is, the lightsaber combat is actually pretty cool, but it almost felt like they were trying to run away from each other the entire time, instead of kind of facing off against one another.
Okay.
One of the big things I have with lightsaber fights is when one of the characters uses other objects against the other character. Like, as far as...
Like throwing stuff at them?
Yeah, and it doesn't bug me when it happens to, like... When it's like Vader and Luke in The Empire Strikes Back, because he's teaching Luke a lesson. Like,
okay.
He's showing him, like, how powerful he is. But in this sense, it's almost like, I'm putting this in your way, that way I can get farther away from you. Okay. Like, I wanted to see a lightsaber fight, and again, we saw a little bit of it, but it kind of just like, it was there, and then it wasn't, and then it was there, and then it wasn't. It was a very long standing scene, and the pacing as far as sabers on and off was very different in comparison to other scenes.
Okay.
I like the two characters, like I like that storyline of Barry Sophie going bad and kind of going dark against her friends and whatnot, but and it would have been cool to see her revealed to be her in that scene where Ahsoka finds out, because the scene probably would have taken a turn, but it just didn't happen for me.
Got it. Okay. My 23, similar but different. I have Anakin versus Barrow Sophie.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
Man.
It just kind of, that one kind of bored me a little bit.
Dude, that end scene or the final moment where he grapes her, or where he force pushes her against that tree, I got the chills. Dude, he was so pissed off.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just kind of like for me. I feel like you and I feel like
our lists are going to be completely different.
You and I started
100%.
You and I started out similar with the first three low bottoms,
100%
and then
different.
now it's just going to blow up.
100% different.
Yeah. It was just kind of another meh one for me. Like, cool.
I like that scene personally because Anakin is such an emotional driven character.
Oh yeah, he's driven by his emotions,
and the fact that he finds out that she is pretty much blackmailing Ahsoka, all hell is breaking loose.
If he would have killed her, it probably would have been higher on the list.
But we know at that point, as far as him being a Jedi, that's not his way.
But it
would have been crazy.
Even if it wasn't like he was like interrogating her and then kills her, if he would have just like killed her in pure combat, I think it would have probably.
Well, that's why I like that scene where he just totally holds her by the force up against that tree and slams her against that tree, because it shows how angry he really is.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, my next one. So I got number 22. I got Yoda versus Palpatine from Episode 3. I know this one's gonna not make you happy, but the reasoning behind this one for me, I like the two characters going up against each other, especially countering what's going on with Anakin and Obi-Wan on Mustafar, and I mean, these are probably arguably at the time the two greatest Force users living, but there wasn't a lot of lightsaber action. It was more of Palpatine throwing chairs at him and Yoda bouncing back and forth and kind of getting his butt kicked here and there, but it took away, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that there was one of the best fight scenes we've ever seen, flipping back and forth with it. Like, there were two scales.
Better.
You think that one was better?
No, I think that the fact that they did that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but it also made me think, like, oh man, this one's so much better than the other.
Okay.
And I also didn't like the fact that it wasn't really saber on saber. It was more of two old guys trying to fill whatever they can to put in their way.
Fair enough. Good enough, I guess. Okay, sure. Whatever you want to say. My number 22 is Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku in Episode 3.
Okay, yeah, the beginning. Yeah. All right.
Again,
very similar, yeah.
Obi-Wan got thrown up against the thing, got knocked out, And we're left with Anakin and Dooku. I will say, I remember seeing this when it came out, and when Dooku's head got chopped off, I lost it. Like, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
They are not holding anything back.
Yeah. That's what makes the Revenge of the Sith so good.
Yeah. So, but other than that, again, we have the choreographed looking fight scene. I like Dooku. I don't like when he fights. It is very, like, it reminds me of, like, a pirate, where they kind of, like, it's, like, almost like a
they have
pirate
they have a sword out, and then they have their hand behind him, kind of like dancing.
Yes, like, it reminds me of, like, Hook. Like, that type of fighting where it's, like, Ungar, like, the Three Musketeers, that type of stuff.
I hear you.
Again, to me, it was the same freaking fight from episode 2.
I hear you.
So, yeah, that's my 22.
Funny thing is that is my number 21.
Oh, well, there you go. Guess I didn't need to go.
I actually, when I wrote this down, I actually didn't even put Obi-Wan's name in the title. I put Anakin versus Dooku. Because Obi-Wan gets tossed to the side so early.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I do like the scene. It is a much better scene than episode 2 when Anakin and Obi-Wan, or Anakin and Dooku face off. I love that line where Anakin says, I've doubled my power since the last time we met Dooku. And he says count, not Dooku. But, and there's some really cool stuff in there, and Anakin, it shows how powerful he has actually become, because Dooku is a Sith Lord, and he's one of the greater Jedis that had lived in previous years, and he was trained by Yoda, and he trained Qui-Gon, and so there are so many connections there, and while the scene is really cool and it ends fabulously as far as Anakin cutting his head off and kind of Palpatine kind of sinking more into the skin of Anakin, the fact that they tossed Obi-Wan to the side, the fact that it is a little bit like dancing, even though it's less like dancing than episode 2. There are other scenes that I would rather watch. Like, there's multiple fight scenes in this movie, and that's one of the ones I don't really think about. And that goes for the same thing with the animated stuff too. Like, there's so many more fight scenes in the animated shows that I'd rather watch than watch this.
Fair enough. My 21 is Qui-Gon versus Maul. When they first, it's kind of like our first real taste of Maul. It was too short, plain and simple. That's why it made it this slow. I want to say it was like not even 30 seconds. Like
you could see it in the background too, like in the ship or whatever.
Yeah, it's mostly just him providing a means of them escaping, and then he jumps in the ship and then they fly off. And that's about it.
I hear you.
I mean, it was just like a quick little like, oop, look, here's the bad guy, bye.
Yeah, it didn't really do a lot.
It didn't really do that much for me.
All right, well, we want to recap your bottom 9 real quick?
All right. 28, Obi-Wan versus Maul in Rebels. 27, Sabine versus Garr Saxon. 26, Obi-Wan versus Grievous in Episode 3. Number 25, Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku in Episode 2. Number 24, Maul versus Pre Vizsla. Number 23, Anakin versus Barriss Offee. Number 22, Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku in Episode 3. And finally, number 21, Qui-Gon versus Maul in Episode 1.
I'm counting mine, and I think I might have skipped one.
Oh, great. We just totally...
Did you say 9? I feel like I said 8.
Did I do too many?
No, I feel like I did 8.
Go through them again and see if you skipped one.
So my number 28 is Windu and Jedi versus Palpatine. 27 is Obi-Wan and Grievous. 26 is Obi-Wan versus Maul. 25 is Qui-Gon versus Maul. Did I say that?
No, you did not. There it is.
There it is. 25 is Qui-Gon versus Maul. All right. Fair. Wow. How did I skip that? Yeah. The only reason it's not lower for me on this, and I'll say this quickly, is because it was my first real experience with lightsabers.
Fair enough. Okay,
because I wasn't around with the original trilogy. There was no real animated show at the time of Star Wars. This is the real first taste of you seeing two lightsabers fight each other with a guy like Maul who comes flying off a flying scooter against this badass Jedi
flying by on a moped.
And so that's why it's not lower than others. It's the shortest lightsaber fight in Star Wars by far. But because it is my first real experience, I'm not going to put it on the lower side. So that is 24 or 25. 24 is Sabine versus Garr Saxon. 23 is Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku in Episode 2. My number 23 is Ahsoka versus Barrow Sophie. 22 is Yoda and Palpatine in Episode 3. And my number 21 is Anakin versus Dooku in Episode 3.
All right, we had a couple similar.
Very similar. Now it's going to start changing up a bit, 100%, because there's a lot of good stuff coming in the next 18 or so or 20 of them, and so it should be pretty fun. And like I said earlier, we're breaking this down in 3 different videos, and the next one's going to be chronicling the next 9 lightsaber fights. 11. Yeah, 20 through 11, and then we'll finish off with our top 10 in our final video. The next one may not come next week. We may change it up and do a different Padawan next week, and then we'll kind of bring this back on the following week. I know Jacob's going to want to get on and show his rankings as well. This is fun. I like doing this stuff because it brings back Star Wars, and we have, 40, 50 years of Star Wars to talk about in these lightsaber fights. So, Brian, man, thank you again for joining me. I can't appreciate it enough. We love talking Star Wars and whatnot. We got to find you an official name.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
By the next Padawan, we'll find you something official. So, for Mr. Alvacino, for myself, Qui-Gon Jake, we can't thank you enough for joining the Padawan podcast today. Make sure you follow us on YouTube at Apocalypse Movies, our website, apocalypsemovies.com. Check us out on iTunes as well. We got everything up on there for free downloads for you guys. Much easier as far as listening goes. Again, thank you for listening, and until next time, may the Force be with you.